What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about wire crimping and a couple of different options for wire crimping. Let's see here. Here we go. First of all, we got what I call the bolt cutter style. That's these guys. Now they work, yeah. It's good for a quick get up in there and can't get the thing to where you want it to get to, so you get to crawl up in there and try to, this works pretty good. They have a little spinners on the end here that you can adjust. You press this button right here, you can spin these around and get different sizes. And of course you have to set both sides the same size. Well, you should set them both. And when you get them set, you put your wire and lug in there, then you crimp it down. The only downside to these is, one, if you're crimping something pretty big, you basically have to try to get this thing, you got to get the wire and the lug in there and kind of get it to where it's holding, right? And you got to put it against your chest and you got to squeeze like oh hell to make the crimp. So it's kind of painful, but it does actually work pretty good, except it's challenging in the physical department. The other one is the hydraulic style. There's lots of different versions of this, but they all have similar characteristics. You have a box of dies, and that's these little things. We have a whole bunch of different sizes. And you have the tool itself. You have a knob on here to tighten up and loosen. So you put your lug in your wire in there, and you pump it down until the die connects. Once the die makes contact, you stop pumping. You'll have to pry a little harder when you have a piece in there, but then when you get done crimping, you loosen the knob, it opens back up, you pull it out. Downside to these, it's a hydraulic system, so it's prone to having issues. Sometimes they leak. This one doesn't. This was a cheapie, Pittsburgh, you know, whatever. A lot of guys have leak issues with them, and you gotta take this handle off right here and fill it back up. Biggest problem is a huge set of dies, and you have to change them out. Sometimes they don't want to stay in here. This one has no issues with keeping the dies in there, but sometimes they fall out. Another issue is, you notice there's two handles, see? So both these two I've shown you, there's two hand points. And so you're trying to like lay this down on the table, get your wire and your lug in there, and then you got, you kind of get it and you position it, then you start pumping it. Oh, it moved a little bit, so you got to reposition it and you pump a little. It's kind of a two-person job. That said, there's also the hammer style. Now I don't have one of them, but it's a little device that the wire and lug go in, and you take a big hammer and you go whack, 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 whack. It's crimped. Honestly, pretty good choice. But what I'm going to show you guys today is the latest in the lineup of my wire crimpers. Check it out, buddy. What's up, buddy? Alright, so we need a piece of wire. We're gonna need a couple connectors. That is one of the larger ones. That's an alt gauge, by the way, wire. And break out that's one of the big. This is a yeah, it says it's alt gauge. That's an alt gauge. Some of these are oversized alt gauge. That's why I'm testing two of them. This is what you would normally see. So let's see. See, both of these have the same internal diameter, as you can see, but one's much beefier than the other. Much thicker, much beefier. But they're both alt gauge. So these are usually fairly easy for mediocre crimpers to handle. This will whoop your mediocre crimper's butt This is a murderous beast. That's why I'm going to test this guy. So we're going to test both of these two on this piece of New Concepts pure OFC 0 gauge. First thing I got to do is get this old ferrule off of here and get the wire cutters of doom. Not expensive cutters, but they do a fine job of cutting. Also, my stripping technique, and I do not mean pole dancing, folks. You do not want to see me take my clothes off. Break out my super awesome stripping technique and get this sucker down to a nice little piece of stranded wire. In case you guys are wondering why this looks silver, it's because it is tinned OFC copper. So this is the real deal. Moving along. All right, let's try to get the shots Wait a minute. Now you stop complaining, man. You're a cat. Your life is simple. See, one thing I like about this setup is this will set up here by itself and allow me to use this with one hand, using one hand to administer direction to the lugs. We're going to do the easy one first, guys. We're going to do the little copper guy here. So let's do the magic of awesome fingering. So she said. We're going to twist that bad boy on there and make it look about as awesome as it cannot look. And we're going to leave a strand outside because, of course, we are. So now we got it set for the old alt gauge treatment, and we're going to slide this bad boy in here. And I'm probably gonna, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, we're gonna do it this way. There we go. Get the thing inside the little thing here. And then we're gonna insert the pokey bit. And then we're gonna administer the crunch. All right, so here's what we ended up with. Now, you'll notice that there's a plus in there. This thing has a reversible plus minus thing, which is completely pointless, but we don't care about that. What we care about is this crimp. And, folks, I do believe we have ourselves a winner. And that is not coming off of there. I'm pulling the jacket back, but that's got a good crimp. That's an excellent crimp, guys. Excellent crimp. Just cut that off and see if we can do the big boy one now. That's the one I'm worried about. So we'll go ahead and cut this sucker off of here and reset. All right. This one's a little bit longer, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Yeah, boy. This is a dad channel. What did you expect? All right. Well, I managed to knock a few little bits off of that one, but you know what? I'm not good with that. This is a little bit. Shit, I knocked more than one or two off. I knocked several of them off. This is a little bit larger of an orifice, but not by much. Now, these things, guys, seriously, these are a serious lug. So you got to apply this luggage. Wow, that's a word. You got to apply this luggage to pretty much anything, and you're going to find the limits of your crimping situation very quickly. So let's see if we can make this one look as pretty as we did the last one, and also get a good solid crimp going on, because this I have not tried yet. This has not been tested ahead of time. Oh, that took a little bit of that took a couple of beans, but folks, so we have the nice V formation down here on the bottom. then the push in. And of course I have some stray wires. Y'all look, don't judge me. Watch this. Nope, there's no wires, nothing to be seen here, nothing to be seen at all. What's important, folks, is how the crimp turned out. You'll notice that the system, the way this crimps, is by depressing one side and then V-shaping the other. So it depresses it into a V. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm pulling on this right now. I'm not gonna do any fancy stuff where you guys see me hanging from wires or whatever. But having crimped up hundreds and hundreds of wires, I can tell you this is solid. That is an excellent crimp. Now, if we want to take that a step further, well, how's it going to look when I dress it up? This is one of the hardest. These are the hardest lugs to connect. So just bear in mind, there won't be any that are tougher than that. And that did a fine job of that. That bolt cutter crimper will not crimp these at all. The hydraulic crimper, I can't even get them in there. So this is a thing. This is a really cool crimper. So now to finish up the crimp and make this look awesome, we need to put a heat shrink on here. And shout out to Carmel Car Audio in Springfield, Missouri. The only place I go for car audio equipment and installs. And remote starts and security systems. So that crimp ends up serving quite well. When you put your shrinker up on there, it looks very professional. It's a good solid crimp. It doesn't give any weird bulgy flangey things going on. It's just a nice crimp that just screams quality, kind of like Carmel Car Audio. All right, so as a wrap up, we have the TEMco big nasty wire crimpers, and these things, they crimp up to a 4-aught. They go down to a 8 gauge up to a 4-aught gauge. Essentially a baseball bat down to a pencil. You pick. These guys are awesome. I've tried them on several. You see on the little normal connectors we all want to use. This thing does a bang up job. It's beautiful. You can even see the very edge of the crimp. It's essentially solid copper in there. Once it clamped down and bit in, that's a solid piece of copper. The heat welded that in there. So I feel like we got ourselves a hardcore winner. The ideal thing would be for me to cut this off in the middle, but I guarantee you it's solid copper in the middle. As much pressure as it is and as warm as it got when I crimped it, it's good. So we got ourselves a winner. And you guys want good wire, New Concepts wire, always a good choice. And if you're wondering where I get these the normal lugs from, is there's your information there. I'm sure that's totally legible and everything. Order these online, get them in pretty cheap. And these big ones, I don't remember where I got them at, but they're huge. And there's even these guys, and they're supposed to be a 4-aught, I think, but they look a little small for that. They're more like a 2-aught, but there's some big old beefy boys. But anyway, good times all around. If you guys are looking for a crimper, the TEMco will be my choice. This TEMco crimper will be my choice because of the fact that it sits on the table, can use a one-hand operation, It doesn't have any die assortment that comes with it. You know, it does an amazingly good job. It's simple, it's reliable, and that's what I'm looking for. It's a tool that always does its job. If you're wondering about my little heat gun, there you go. Another Amazon purchase. Cheap, cheap, cheap. I don't know what it was. It's got 2 settings, and there's the information. Enjoy it. So, for now, guys,